Hello and Happy New Year, everyone. Crosstown Gamer here, and today we're finally going to come back to A Distant Plane and continue our playthrough of it. It's been a little while, and that's just because of the holidays, and there's been some family obligations taking up my time. Additionally, unfortunately, my dog ended up getting onto the board and taking one of these control markers and eating it. So unfortunately, my copy is no longer pristine of this game, but that's okay. We're going to continue A Distant Plane, and if you'll recall in the last episode, we just got through basically one card, and we went and the warlords went, and we tried to get some support and get some troops on the board here. So we're going to kick it off and just go right along with our next card. So the next card that came out was going to be Afghan Commandos, and the government get to go first. So they're first eligible. Let's see what they end up doing based on their flowchart. In other coin games, they tend to like to do the events, so let's hope that it's the same with this, because that makes it my job a little bit easier. But anyway, the non-player government is going to, okay, is the current card a momentum event? No, it's not. It's just a regular card, so it's not a capability either. So we'll play the unshaded part if it's going to shift patronage, government resources, aid, or coin control up, or if it will place government pieces, or afford the government free ops or special activities, or shift Islamabad if Taliban's a player. Taliban's not a player. The coalition is a player. That's me. And everyone else is bots. So just the first two. Let's look at what the card says to see if it will do any of those things. Okay, government moves any 1 to 4 government troops to a space, then they free sweep and free assault there. Okay, so that sounds to me like it will at the very least offer free ops or free special activity, because they're going to get to do a free sweep and free assault. There's lots of places where that could take place. So for that, we have a special chart of special event instructions, and this is fine. I like the way that they do it in the other games. I think well, you know, I don't know. It's great. It's all right here. I kind of liked it in Andean Abyss when it was on the bottom of the player aid here on the flowcharts, but it's okay if it's its own thing. Let's see what happens. So the card number is 37, so we go down to 37. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Afghan Commandos. So if it's coalition, no, it's not. It's the government. So the government will move the maximum troops from where most above coin control to establish control at the highest population. Okay, bit of a mouthful, but let's see. I think the place where we are highest above coin control is going to be here in Kaust. There's just a truckload of coin pieces there. You know, you can make an argument for maybe up here. There's 6, 7, 8 pieces to the 1, so there's like 6 above. There's 3 pieces here, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's like 9 extra here. I don't think there's going to be any spot on the map that has 9 more pieces than anywhere else. So I think this is the highest spot above coin control. And they want to go to the place, it says, to establish control at the highest population. Well, all the high population spots are under coin control already. The only ones that aren't are going to be out here in the middle, as well as the Taliban controlled, but this is a 0 pop zone. So I'm looking around. Oh, up here, bulk, there's a 2 population zone. I think, because everywhere else that's 2 or 3 is under coin control right now. So looks like they're going to establish control here if they can. There's 5, 6, 7 pieces, so you have to move in 8 troops to establish control. And it's specific to troops, so police won't work there. So I don't think that's going to work here, because there's only 5 troops available. which is a bummer. Although, to establish control, they get to free sweep and free assault there, so they might end up establishing control through the assault. But yeah, the only other option really, because they get to do this free action, they want to do it at a place that has enemy pieces. So they don't really want to do it, you know, establish control over here, because a sweep and a free assault isn't going to do anything. So, yeah, I mean, I guess an argument could be made for Balk in that an assault, let's look at, so assault, remove 1 active guerrilla for every 2 government troops. So, if there's 5 in here, that would only be 2. So 2 would get removed, which would mean there'd be 5 pieces left to R5. So they're not going to establish control through Balk. So I don't think that's a viable option for us. The only other one population spot that has not coin control and isn't in Pakistan, because we can't go to Pakistan, remember, which, yeah, okay, I think is going to be this Orozgan place. So in Orozgan, we would get to move enough to establish control, coin control. So there's 4 non-coin pieces, insurgent pieces, and then there's 3. So they only need to move in 2. But let me read that text again, because it says move max troops. Okay, so max troops, it means all of them. So it will move all these troops. You know, it might be a random die roll thing. The bots tend to do that if they can't make a selection. So it actually legitimately might be one of these. I am acknowledging that. But I think if the bot were a player, they would want to do free actions. And even in their flowchart, wherever it was, in the event text, it said play it if they get free actions. And so I think they're going to want to maximize that. So as much as it would, you know, it might be a random die roll thing to decide between all these various things, I think they would actually want to do it in a Orozgan. If they were not my sort of tacit ally, I would be saying the same thing. If it was the Taliban doing this or the warlords, I would be saying the same thing. So I tend to like to make these games harder for myself than need be. But in this case, it's going to benefit us. So they get to move in there, and then they get to do a free sweep and free assault. Now let's look at their priorities for, or their, it's in that space, right? Yes, there. Free sweep and free assault there. So their sweep protocol is going to move any government troops onto adjacent locks and then into adjacent spaces. But we're sweeping right here, so we're gonna activate 1 guerrilla per cube and 1 resource to the warlords per lock entered with any guerrilla. That's not gonna take place here. So let me just make sure that I'm doing this correctly based on their sweep. What does their sweep usually do? Get up to 4 if need tactical control. That's what we're doing. Sweeping in place to activate the most pieces. Yep, this is... They're not going to move any to adjacent spots. I think they're simply just going to sweep here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 cubes. More than enough to activate all of their stuff. And then they're going to free assault. And so they get to remove 1 piece for every 2 of their cubes. And base is last. So they can't just remove the base as one of their things. But assault. In each space, remove 1 active guerrilla or insurgent base for every 2 government troops. Base is last. Yes, it's not a lock. Oh, is it a mountain spot? We have to check. Yes, it is. That's unfortunate. So, mountain spot, this 1 per 3. And they're going to get +6 aid for every Taliban piece removed, or base removed. But unfortunately, there's only a warlord base there. If I were the government, I would... So they have 6 troops there, so they get to remove 2 things. If I were the government, I would want to eliminate the base. So let's see what they would want to do, because when dealing with the bots, we want to go with their priority. We've already established coin control, so they want to remove bases within... Yeah, they want to remove bases, so they are going to do the same thing that we would do. They get to... so the Taliban don't get to guard the warlord base. The warlord piece is the only thing guarding the warlord base. So they get... There's 6 troops here. They get to remove 1 for every 3, so that's 2 things. So they'll remove this one, and then they'll remove this base. And the warlord base goes back to the little thing here. Oh, crap. I wonder if... 1, 2, 3... Oh, okay. Yeah, these just got flipped around a little bit. I was really hoping my dog didn't eat one of those too. But I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. Because these pieces would be... I wouldn't want to fish them out when they came back. Okay, so the number of bases, uncontrolled population, did we switch anything? Yes, we did, because this is now under coin control. So we want to adjust our things up here. So that was 1 population spot. So this goes down 1. The coin control spot goes up 1 for that population. And that's that. Their thing is not based on bases. Okay, that was a free sweep, free assault in that region based on the card. So they've done the event. Next up is the Taliban. Let's see what they're going to do. So they can't play the event because they can only do operation plus special activity. So they're going to go to the next diamond here. Terror would shift 3+ opposition and support combined. Then they're going to do terror. And so let's look at their terror operation in the menu here. They're able to do this in spaces with underground Taliban guerrillas, which is frankly most of the board. So they don't need control. They don't need a base there. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I feel like Owen Wilson now. Wow. So in each selected space, they're going to activate 1 guerrilla, and if it's a province or Kabul, they're going to add a terror marker and shift it 1 level toward opposition. Shift support or neutral, 1 level toward opposition. So remember the diamond said if there would be a 3+ opposition and support shift. So if they can do this in at least 3 spots, they're going to do it. Okay, so we have to look at one last thing too. They need to do it without exposing the last 1 underground guerrilla at a Taliban base. So they don't want to be in a situation where we can assault and then take out their bases. The 2 in parentheses actually refers down here to this momentum. If the unshaded find fix is in play, then they need to keep up to 2 underground guerrillas at a base instead of just the 1. That one's not in play. There's accidental guerrillas, car bombs, ISR, predators, and reapers, so we need to not worry about that. They can interrupt their own operation to do a special activity. So the extort when resources needed means that if they were to run out of resources in the middle of doing this, they can extort where possible, in order to get more resources to keep doing this thing. So First, they're going to do it at terror and then at neutral. They're going to do this because there's, 1, 2, well, 3, but 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's like a ton of spots where they can do this and shift to opposition. And I'm just noting as well that the Pakistan region does not have support or opposition because it's reflecting the support or opposition to the Afghani government, and the Afghani government does not control Pakistan. So they're going to just start doing this. They have 15 resources, so they can do it in all of the spots that they're able to. So they would do it in... So they just can't remove the last... They can't activate the last guerrilla at a base that they have. So they can do it once. There's no reason to do it down here. Twice. 3 times. I don't know why they would, but I guess they will. 4. Four. 5. They're not going to do it there or there. 6 and 7. Okay. Whoops, that was close. Okay, so it's going to cost them 7 resources to do everything there. So 15 minus 7 is 8. And what do? They get to add a terror marker to those 7 locations, which makes it harder for us to get it back, basically. 1, 2, 3. It's probably really boring watching me do this. That's okay. 4. They couldn't do it here because these were active, thank God. So... and there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then they get to shift support or opposition in each of those spots. So let's keep track of the opposition that gets added here. So 1, and then 2, 3, because we're multiplying it by the population. 2, 3. This doesn't do anything. 4, 5. Whoops, that's the wrong marker. Oh, crap. Okay, there we go. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 5, 6, 7. And the other spot is 5, 6, 7 is here, but this just goes to neutral, so it's a +7 opposition and a -3 support. 3 because of the extra population. So +7 opposition, so this goes to 16 in one fell swoop, and then the support went down by 3. So 1, 2, 3. And the patron was the same, uncontrolled population is the same, aid's the same, and the coin plus patronage is the same. Okay, that was their operation. They didn't run out of resources. Now they can extort. So their special activity, without exposing the last underground guerrilla at Taliban base in Afghanistan, they can extort everywhere. Let's look at their flow or their menu here. Oh shit. Okay, not so bad. Sorry for the language. If you are under, 18 or whatever, then I apologize. So their extort, is going to be any spaces with an underground guerrilla and more Taliban than the enemy. they're going to be able to do this. So let's look and see where the heck they can even do this at all. There's more Taliban than the enemy here, but they don't want to get rid of their last guerrilla. They can do it outside of Afghanistan. Nope, that's the last. Yeah, I think they can't do it anywhere. Well, they can, but they don't have. They can't expose the last underground guerrilla at a Taliban base in Afghanistan. Oh, they can do it. They can do it in Pakistan because they just worry about exposing the last underground guerrilla if it's in Afghanistan. So everywhere without exposing at non-opposition. And then if still at 0 resources, everywhere possible. So I don't know if they're going to do this because they don't need to, but it seems like they would. I don't know why they wouldn't. Everywhere without exposing the last Taliban at non-oppose. So that's not going to be what they want to do based on bullet point 1. If still at 0 resources everywhere possible, so they're not going to do it. So then if no such extort, no special activity. They didn't do it at the first place because each of these are opposition, non-oppose, each of these 3. So they can do it there technically, but they'd be exposing the last guerrilla at a non-opposed spot. So they're not going to do it from bullet point 1, and they're not going to do it at bullet point 2 because they're not at 0 resources. So they're not going to do a special activity. Holy moly. So then we're going to adjust eligibility. The ineligible factions go to eligible, and the factions that just went go there. And then we'll play the next thing. Interesting, because, oh yeah, the Taliban couldn't have done the event anyway or passed to do this event, so that was good. And then Karzai to Islamabad is the next one up, which is bummer because no matter what we do, the Taliban are going to get to go on that card, which they're first up, which usually means it's a good event for them. So let's try to blast through this card as well. So this is Al-Qaeda, and we are up first. So the unshaded government resources +9, aid +9, coalition executes a free surge. Okay. That could be really good. Remember, we use, as the coalition, we use the government resources. So anything that bumps aid up, anything that bumps up our resources, which pretty early on is a good thing. And then we would get to do a free surge, which is here. So we can add or withdraw forces, add aid to give resources to the warlords. Okay. In 3 spaces, Kabul or coin-controlled provinces, move any coalition pieces divided among those spaces and the available box. If desired, add a die roll total between aid and warlord resources. Okay. Let's see. Is this what we want to do? One thing to note, the Taliban are a little bit more exposed now based on, they just did the terror op and it was like pretty massive. So we could get a bunch of resources. Alternatively, we could try to assault. And if we assaulted, 3 resources per space. And we would remove... Yeah, so they're protecting all their bases still. I just don't think it's like worth it right at this second to do the assault. Because we'd only be getting rid of, in this spot we could get rid of 2 pieces. But then it costs 3 resources to do it there. And it would cost 3 resources everywhere else. And we'd only be getting rid of 1 piece. So it seems kind of fruitless. Like the real thing you got to do is sweep first and then assault. But then sweeping isn't that effective right now either. So maybe we'll leave the government to do our dirty work for us, and we will take this event. So let's take the event. And so government resources +9, so they go up to 30. And then aid +9, so that goes up to 33. And then coalition executes a free surge. So we can start withdrawing troops. It might be early for that because we really can't win until the deck runs out anyway. So let's hold off on withdrawing. But we can kind of sprinkle our coalition pieces among some spaces, and then we can add even more aid if we would like. I don't think we will do that. But you know, we need at least like one piece in each of these spots. Maybe we'll take some from here. And we will plop them down in our recently acquired conduits here. I don't think it needs a base or anything. Any 3 spaces. So that's 2 spaces right now, Helmund and conduits, and then we have one more piece which we can put anywhere we'd like. I'm looking for coin-controlled spaces that don't have our presence. Maybe Herat. Actually just got to play Pax Pamir with my wife a few days ago, and so Herat's in there and Kabul's in there. It's pretty cool. That's a fun game. All right, so that was the whole card. We did our free surge. I didn't want to do the aid and resources because aid's pretty high as it stands, and I don't want to add any more resources to the warlords. Hopefully we can kind of kneecap them and we won't have to worry about it too much. So then the warlords get to go. Let's take a look at their little fold out. All right, so the current card they can't play because they have to do operations or pass. They're not at 0 resources, so they're not going to pass. Would a rally replace guerrillas with bases? Let's double check. Probably not. I'm looking for spots on the board with at least 2 warlord guerrillas, and the only spot that has more than 2 is up here, but they're already stacked at the stacking limit in bulk, so not going to work there. Then so this is a no. Is the player at a positive victory margin? That's a no as well. So they're going to march. So the no leads to march. They're going to leave a minimum of 1 guerrilla. And again, the 2 is for the Unshaded Find Fix card. So, man, that sounds like a pretty powerful card. So hopefully that comes up at some point. We can play it. Leave a minimum of 1 guerrilla at each warlord base space. The underground first. Okay. 2 on locks unless... Okay, create no control. So they want to leave a minimum of 1 on each base space. And so the only spot that they're going to march from at all would be bulk, because everywhere else has just 1 guerrilla at a base space. Maybe they could march from Kabul, I guess. And they want to leave 2... Oops. They want to leave 2 on lines of communication, but they don't have any on there, so they're not going to march from there. And they want to create no control. And remember, control, they can have unlimited pieces in a region, and they're not going to control it. It's only Taliban and coin, so it's everyone else that has control. So they get 1 underground guerrilla at warlord base with no such warlord guerrilla where able. I always need to read these like 3 times to actually parse what it says. This will get faster as we go. get 1 underground gorilla at warlord bases. With no such warlord gorilla where able. Oh, I see. They want to move to bases where they're currently not. They don't have an underground gorilla. So I don't think that's a. I think all their bases are covered. Get exactly 2 gorillas on each reachable line of communication. Oh, crap. Yeah. In Andean Abyss, they really did not play for the lines of communication, and so it was probably easier as the government player, even though I still botched it. Spoiler alert. So they want to get exactly 2 underground gorillas onto each reachable line of communication, unless 45 plus resources or last campaign card, and it's not the last campaign card, so they want to do that. And in coin games, the march costs resources per, I know it's the Taliban, per non-line of communication destination. I think every coin game except for Falling Sky, this is true. It's per origin space rather than destination space in Falling Sky. But for this, it's a destination space. So they're going to pay resources. If they move out of bulk, they could go to, Faryab, Saripol, all these places, and it would cost them a resource per spot. Except for not to get onto lines of communication. So let's do the first thing first, and they want to get 2, so they can move onto adjacent spaces if the destination is a lock or Pashtun, and if moving plus Taliban gorillas there exceeds 3, activate the gorillas. Okay, so if they move onto a lock, they have to activate their gorillas. If the total number of pieces getting moved into the space plus the Taliban gorillas there exceed 3, then you have to activate the gorillas that move. You might have to activate the Taliban ones too. I need to double check in the rules, but it's going to be a moot point because the Taliban aren't up here. So again, they want to get exactly 2 gorillas on each reachable lock. This is the only reachable line of communication, so they will get 2 gorillas there. Because they're moving onto a line of communication, they have to activate them. Not only that, but that's free for them to get onto the lines of communication. So they did that. And man, I really hope I don't just bump this table. I know I'm going to do it though. Things are going to slide off. Okay, then they want to get 3+ warlord gorillas from multiple random sources if needed into each reachable 1+ population space with room for a base. They're going to select the highest pop and where there's no coalition. So this is a 1+ spot. So they want to go where there's no into each reachable 1+ pop space with room for a base. And their first priority is highest population. Okay, so their options are here, 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 or here. So they want to prioritize the high population spots, and they need it to have room for a base. So this does not have room for a base here. This does. They can pull from multiple spots, but they don't want to pull from here because then they would be abandoning their base. So they want 3+ gorillas to go into here. The problem is it's just going to be 2 because they can't abandon their base there. So I would think they would want to move just the 2. I'm not sure if if they can't do bullet point 3 in its entirety, they can get 2+. Then do they skip it, or do they do it as the best they can? I think they do the best they can. And then they're going to remove the most control. Oh, that'll remove control for them anyway. So they're going to do, if they wouldn't have done bullet point 3, they're going to do bullet point 4, because there's only two coin pieces here. So when they move these two in, whoop, they don't have to activate anything because the total number is less than 3. And the population's 3 here. And so it's 2 to 2, which means there's no more control there at all, which is, again, bad. So this goes down 3. 1, 2, 3, because there's 3 population. It's no longer coin controlled. Moreover, this goes up 1, 2, 3, because that spot is now uncontrolled. Okay, so that was their march. And that's the only spot that they're going to march from. Oh, and that costs a resource to march into that square. So they go down to 17. Okay, then they're going to... Do they have 43 plus resources? No, they have 17, I think. So, no. Then they're going to cultivate. In one space, where 1 plus pop, warlord guerrillas outnumber police, and it was selected for rally or march. So this, let's see, cultivate at a province selected for rally or as a march destination. Okay, destination. That means this spot right here. Then they must have greater than 0 population, it does, and more warlord guerrillas than police. So we only moved onto the lock and into the province. So there's only 2 possibilities for this. It has to be in the province, and it has to have more guerrillas than police, which it does. There's only 1 troops cube there, and there's 2 guerrillas. So they're going to get to cultivate there, and what they get to do is just straight up place a warlord base there. Hot damn. Okay. So they get to place a base right there. That's going to be good for them, won't it? Well, I assume they're going to cultivate there. Yeah, they will. Okay, so that's what they did. No. And if they were at 43 plus resources, they would Suborn instead. I'm trying to decide why I know that's their victory threshold, right? If their resources are basically large enough to where they can do that. Regardless, that's what they do. And I just want to double check. No, there's no cost associated with Cultivate. So that was their special activity. We will adjust eligibility. We got through 2 cards this video, which is twice as many as last time. And so we're picking up steam slowly but surely here. So Karzai to Islamabad is the next card, and then following that is going to be Trilateral Summit. So, good thing we're ineligible because we were last anyway, so it's probably not a great card for us. Regardless, this has been A Distant Plain. I think I'm going to end it here, and hopefully the gap between this video and the next one is a little shorter. But have a great holiday weekend, or whenever you're watching this, have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.